the worst possible thing in the whole world is about to happen. If reports are to be believed, Andrew Marchand over at The Athletic, New York Times, says that ESPN is about to wrap up a $2 billion deal for the NFL Network and NFL Redzone. And on the surface, you might say, oh, the NFL Network, who gives a shit? And you might be right, except for Good Morning Football. I do like Good Morning Football. It's the red zone piece of this. It's the red zone piece of the equation that already makes me want to throw up in my mouth. And there's a big reason why. And we're gonna throw over here to the Marchand report from over at The Athletic. And we're going to get rid of the comments here for a second. ESPN and NFL are close to a deal that would make programming available in ESPN's direct-to-consumer product this fall. The next era ESPN app could include Redzone channel, NFL Network, and more for $29.99 a month. You greedy corporate bastards. Now, I don't like the idea of ESPN owning the NFL Network or NFL Redzone. To me, because they own the rights package they do, this kind of feels like kind of a conflict of interest. It kind of feels like a little bit of a monopolization of things. It certainly removes any possibility that you're going to have objective talk about things away from the field around the NFL. Like, it's one thing where ESPN might have kind of leaned away back in the day from talking about CTE and concussions because of their agreement with the league. Remember, ESPN had that show, which now escapes me, the scripted show, that was supposed to kind of be like the behind the scenes of what football was like. And then the rumor was it didn't get picked up for a second season because some of the depictions of players and what players do was frowned upon by the NFL. And so that was, it's not great. And so if ESPN is going to end up buying the NFL Network, if they're going to end up buying Redzone, it really does feel like this is going to force the hand of a lot of consumers. And what's the worst thing you could do if you're a sports fan? It's to lean into this and to then provide capital for it, to then put your cash in the hands of ESPN. Now, if the idea here is you're a total cord cutter, a legitimate 100% cord cutter, but you want to still have access to the NFL, and the most enticing thing about the NFL, which I'd argue is Redzone, $30 a month to have ESPN, all of the ESPN programming, all of the 30 for 30s, and having Redzone, I would say for $30 a month, if you're a true cord cutter, is not bad value. If you could not give less of a shit about watching TV live, about having all of the over-the-air networks, about having programming from Fox and CBS and NBC and ABC and all that, you could give less of a shit about Bravo or about FX or about History Channel or, in the case of being a Philadelphian, NBC Sports Philly, and you just want to spend $29.99 a month to have ESPN, their whole library, all of that, all the live games that they air on like ESPN 8 The Ocho, all of that, plus Redzone, yeah, $30 a month isn't bad value. The question is, what happens for those of us who are not going to be direct consumers of the next era ESPN app? What happens to those people? Because if the idea here is, oh, I pay for cable, or I'm a cord cutter, but I have YouTube TV. As it stands right now, I have YouTube TV, and I have Redzone. Am I still going to be able to get Redzone? Is the price of Redzone going to change? I have ESPN through YouTube TV. Is this now going to lead to YouTube TV having to go back into negotiations with Disney, and they're going to have to up the overall fee to carry both ESPN and ESPN2 and Redzone, even though Redzone is an additional package? Are they going to try to figure out a way to weasel Redzone into the standard package with YouTube TV and Hulu and everybody else? I don't know. I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of concerns about this. And really, a lot of it doesn't matter. The simple version of this is, and why I said I was going to throw up in my mouth earlier is, there was a stretch last season, and you might even remember where you were when it happened, but you went from commercial-free football to commercials. Commercials started to pop up on Redzone, and people lost their minds in a way that I don't think Redzone was ready, right? And the next week, they apologized for it, but the commercials were still there. It was kind of like an acknowledgement. Yeah, you've gotten commercial-free to this point, but it's over. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened in the first place. If I have to be honest here, do I think that Disney and ESPN are going to somehow over-commercialize Redzone? Yeah, they are. And if it's going to be a $2 billion acquisition for NFL Network and Redzone, or even if they're going to call it a partnership, right, where they're saying it's a programming partnership between NFL Redzone and NFL Network with ESPN, $2 billion, yeah, you got to recoup some of that money. They're going to have commercials on everything. When you go to the 3 box, the 4 box, is there going to be a Slim Jim logo? Is there going to be a logo for like Viagra? Am I going to have to talk to my kids about, Dad, what is Viagra? What's that? I'd rather not have to talk to my kids about erectile dysfunction pills. It's one thing when the commercial comes on and you see the 2 old people sitting in the bathtubs, the separate bathtubs. That's Cialis. They're sitting in the separate bathtubs and they're holding hands. And the kids are like, why are those old people? Hold on, sorry, kid voice. Why are those old people sitting in bathtubs on a mountain edge holding hands? Well, honey, you see, those 2 old people realize they don't have a lot of time left. So they put the bathtubs, cast iron bathtubs, which are heavy, they put them on the edge of a cliff. And their hope is that because of erosion and climate change, eventually those bathtubs are going to fall off the edge and they're just going to have a quick and relatively painless death. Oh, those aren't the things you're supposed to tell your kids. I don't want to have to talk to my kids about erectile dysfunction meds. But you know damn well that's going to happen. Not me talking to them about it. You know that Redzone is going to be papered. It's going to look like a UFC canvas. It's going to look like an F1 driver's, jumpsuit. It's going to look horrible. The days of the purity of NFL Redzone are long gone and dead. That's what this merger, this acquisition is going to mean. Am I going to have to do, are we going to go from a 3-game box to a quad box, and now one of them is going to be a commercial? Are we going to do picture-in-picture, where now all of a sudden we have to listen to a commercial as it takes up 50% of the screen, and then you have game 1, game 2, game 3? Because I'm not paying for that. I love Redzone. I am not paying for Redzone to have a myriad of commercials and stupid sponsorships throughout. I don't want it. I don't need it. I don't like it. And I'm pretty confident that a lot of people who do love Redzone, who got very turned off by the commercialization of it last year, they will consider highly getting rid of their subscription to Redzone if this comes to fruition and if it gets over-commercialized. Now, if you are a creature of habit and you spend every Sunday enjoying watching 15, 20, 30, not 30, 5, 10 games and kind of getting to jump back and forth, and when the early window and the late window, that crossover starts to happen, and you're used to that, and you love that, and then you love the touchdown compilation at the end of all of the day games. If you're a creature of habit and you've had it all these years, you're probably going to keep it. You're going to bitch about it. You're going to complain about it. You're going to deal with the commercials, and you're going to, kind of hold your nose and just get through it. But man, it scares me to see ESPN's going to acquire it. I don't like it at all. And I don't know how anybody could enjoy it. But we'll find out. I'm sure that we're going to find out at some point here how ESPN's going to make Redzone better. They're going to make Redzone great again. We don't need to make it great again. It was already great. They started to screw it up last year, and I don't trust Mickey Mouse. Oh boy. Let's do picture-in-picture. Hey, folks. You ever look down below the border and say, that used to work, and now it doesn't? Welcome to NFL Redzone, sponsored by Cialis. Here are 2 old people on a cliff in bathtubs. Hope they don't fall. Oh, no. Okay, I'm done. Okay. I am sad.